Mom and daughter, get it going. Mom and daughter,
A mix of emotions, from hope to heartache.
Everybody, you are my strength.
Felt through every song, every prayer.
Some of us all think we need to be more aware, just to be more aware and to just listen.
Well, new tonight, a community comes together to honor the lives of a mother and daughter killed in a murder-suicide.
Deputies say Duquan Jones shot and killed Kiera Massenburg and their daughter Zoey before taking his own life. During a service tonight, members of the Wilson Church prayed for the family, and they offer support to anyone and everyone who's hurting.
CBS 17's Mariah Ellis shares their message and what they're doing.
We start this evening with breaking news. This mother right here is dead, and her 6-year-old is in critical condition. 2 other people were injured, and the suspect is dead. All in what investigators are calling a murder.
It's shy, nothing negative against Kiera. These, from my understanding, they had to love each other, y'all. At some point, there's what they felt like was love for each other. Now, whether they had that relationship together, wherever the violence and stuff came through, I don't know.
In the quiet town of Sharpsburg, North Carolina, a heartbreaking event happened on August 11th, 2024, that would forever change the lives of many. A 32-year-old resident, just released from prison, turned a gathering of friends into a nightmare, pulling a gun on those he once called close. He shot and killed his girlfriend, Kiera Massenburg, and their bright 6-year-old daughter Zoey, and injured 2 friends who tried to stop him. And then he turned the gun on himself. What began as a single case of domestic violence escalated into a shocking murder-suicide that led to lost potential, 2 wounded friends, and 3 dead bodies in the morgue, including that of an innocent 6-year-old. This is the horrifying story of Duquan Jones. Duquan Jones was renowned in his neighborhood as a man who had overcome many challenges. Born and raised in North Carolina, Duquan had a difficult childhood that influenced his choices in life. While little is known about his early years, it is clear that he had a complex relationship with his family and friends. He had a daughter, Zoey, with his baby mama, Kiera Massenburg, with whom he had been in an on and off relationship for several years.
Mom and daughter.
Before the tragedy, Duquan had been attempting to weave his life together as a father and partner. He worked various jobs, trying to support his family, but his professional life was inflicted by issues related to personal instability. He had several legal issues in his past, including an assault arrest just days before the shooting. Duquan was just released from prison after doing a few months of jail time for hitting Kiera during a domestic argument. This resulted in Kiera sustaining serious injuries, such as a bruised nose and a broken tooth. This lifestyle of violence indicated a deeper, unresolved anger boiling within him. Despite these challenges, Duquan maintained a few relationships in the neighborhood, often meeting up with friends and associates. He was known to frequent local hangouts and parties, where he was often seen with his daughter Zoey. Those who knew him describe him as lively yet unstable, constantly stuck in a cycle of highs and lows. On the outside, he appeared to adore his daughter, but deep down, there was a seething tension boiling. Friends and family often noticed his dual personality, a compassionate father at times, but an unpredictable man when faced with confrontations or arguments. However, the circumstances leading up to the terrible incident on August 11th began late at night on August 10th, 2024. Duquan, Kiera, and their daughter Zoey were out with friends, including Makia Page and Devontae Ricks, at a residence on Weaver Circle in Sharpsburg. As the night went on, tensions between Duquan and Kiera grew. Eyewitnesses reported that an argument broke out, with Duquan becoming increasingly furious. According to reports, the disagreement quickly escalated, with Duquan's reaction changing from slight annoyance to rage. In a shocking turn, Duquan pulled out a gun and shot his daughter Zoey, who was just 6 years old, before turning the weapon on Kiera. The violence escalated more rapidly with Makia Page, a close friend of Kiera's, witnessing the horrific scene. She later recounted how Zoey was screaming and pleading to stay with her friends, highlighting the innocence and vulnerability of a child caught in a nightmare.
He came in there and he put the gun to my head, and I'm just begging and pleading to him, please, please, don't shoot me again, please.
As Duquan shot both Kiera and Zoey, Makia desperately ran inside her house, trying to protect herself and her daughter Bella, who was only 5. Devontae Ricks, who was also present throughout the shooting, was also shot when he attempted to step in after the initial shots were fired. But he later survived the encounter despite being shot in the chest. Midway through the chaos, Duquan took Kiera and Zoey into the backseat of his car and drove about 20 miles to another house on Jamie Road in Nash County. Once there, he dropped off Zoey, who was already gravely injured, at a nearby house. When first responders got to the scene, they discovered Kiera dead in the backseat of the car, her life snuffed by the aggression of her partner.
Well, law enforcement believes that this all got started through a domestic dispute. Now, the Wilson County Sheriff's Office says that 6-year-old is currently undergoing surgery. It's unclear if she's going to live at this point. 2 of the other victims were taken to ECU Health, also undergoing surgery. I want to show you the location where this all got started. This was the scene hours later at a home in Wilson County where deputies say that first shooting happened. At 5 this morning, deputies found a man and a woman shot here. The sheriff's office said the suspect, 32-year-old Duquan Jones, then drove off with a woman whom he had a relationship with and her 6-year-old child, later dropping off that child at a home in Nash County with a gunshot wound. Listen to this broadcastify radio traffic from Nash County EMS.
Passenger call units reference Lee Road. Sheriff's Office on scene advises going to be a 6-year-old female victim with shallow breathing. Is requesting emergency traffic.
Unfortunately, Zoey died the next day after receiving surgery.
As we speak, a 6-year-old girl is fighting for her life without her parents following an incident of domestic violence in Wilson County. Investigators say the girl's mother, Kiera Massenburg, was shot and killed by her boyfriend, Duquan Jones. Within the last few hours, new court documents show Jones had a history of domestic violence against Massenburg. Detectives say he shot Massenburg, their daughter, and 2 other people.
The suspect was located in Nash County near a gold rock, and when officers pulled up, there was 1 shot fired. Law enforcement made entry into the house and found 1 subject that was deceased inside of the house.
The string of events resulted in Duquan taking his own life, adding to the already tragic scenario. Duquan was discovered dead in a bedroom in the home where he took refuge, the result of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The hours-long investigation began in Wilson County, where several people were shot, including that 6-year-old girl. The investigation ended right here on Jamie Road in Nash County, where investigators found a woman dead inside of a car and a man shot dead inside of this house. Nash County Sheriff deputies surrounded this home on Jamie Road. Family members of the victim wiping tears and holding each other as the bodies were removed from the scene.
It happened. And it's like a Lifetime movie. Nothing. Pow. Pow. And then police, get down, get down.
Quick moments, and he had no idea what was going on. But he tells me he has known both Jones and his now dead girlfriend for years, still processing the loss of life. You seem so numb to the situation. I'm sure it's just...
For now.
The lives of the individuals caught up in this tragic incident painted a picture of agony and sorrow. Kiera Massenburg was a devoted mother and a vibrant presence in the lives of those who knew her. Described as loving and nurturing, Kiera dedicated herself to her daughter, Zoey, who was often seen as a bright and innocent child. Friends and family spoke of Kiera's radiant smile and positive spirit, always finding a way to uplift those around her. She had aspirations for Zoey, wanting her daughter to grow up in a loving environment, free from the turmoil that plagued her relationship with Duquan. Makia Page shared a close friendship with Kiera. As a mother, she understood Kiera's bond with Zoey. Makia's quick thinking during the violent encounter likely saved her daughter from a similar fate. Her testimony provided crucial insights into the chaos that unfolded that night, revealing how quickly domestic disputes can spiral into catastrophic violence.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
6-year-old Zoey didn't want to leave Makia Page's Sharpsburg home where friends had gathered late Saturday night.
Just out of nowhere, he shot Zoey, and then he proceeded to shoot Kiera.
It was an argument between Duquan Jones and Kiera Massenburg about Zoey leaving that prompted the shooting spree, according to Makia Page, who was shot next.
Then he came for me. And I just remember walking towards me and me trying to run, but I still got hit.
Page was first shot here in her driveway along with another friend, Devontae Hicks. She says she started running for safety to this door here to get into her bedroom to hide.
He came in there and he put the gun to my head, and I'm just begging and pleading to him, please, please, you know, don't shoot me again, please.
Devontae Ricks suffered serious injuries, but also survived to tell his story. He was seen as a supportive figure in the community and described the horrific moments of the shooting in chilling detail. His account added depth to the understanding of how the incident unfolded, showcasing the far-reaching impact of Duquan's actions on innocent bystanders. The incident shook the entire community of Sharpsburg and beyond, as it highlighted the rising tide of domestic violence and the tragic consequences that can ensue. As friends and family tried to make sense of the loss of Kiera and Zoey, the community came together to support one another in the wake of such an unfathomable tragedy. Neighbors and onlookers reacted quickly as the disorder broke out. Several Sharpsburg residents called 911 after hearing gunshots ringing through the peaceful neighborhood. The gravity of the issue became clearer as the Wilson County Sheriff's Office and the Wilson Police Department arrived at the location on Weaver Circle. Responding officers found 2 individuals, Devontae Ricks and Makia Page, who had sustained injuries but were still alive, struggling with the shock of what had just happened. Upon their arrival, officers were informed of the critical situation inside the home and the possible involvement of Duquan Jones. Reports quickly began to surface regarding the possibility of a suspect fleeing the scene. The urgency escalated as it became clear that not only were Ricks and Page injured, but also that Kiera and Zoey were unaccounted for, adding an element of desperation to the investigation. While officers secured the area, they learned that Duquan had fled with Kiera and Zoey in his vehicle. A coordinated effort was launched to locate them. Law enforcement agencies began checking nearby residences and roadways, fearing for the safety of the 2 victims. The Nash County Sheriff's Office was also called to assist in locating Duquan and the injured mother and daughter.
The suspect was located in Nash County near a gold rock, and when officers pulled up, there was 1 shot fired. Law enforcement made entry into the house and found 1 subject that was deceased inside of the house.
Well, last year, Jones was arrested, accused of communicating threats against Massenburg.
Just moments later, the officers arrived at the Jamie Road residence where Duquan had fled to seek refuge. As they approached, they discovered Kiera's lifeless body in the back seat of the car outside. The search for Duquan continued until gunshots rang out from within the house. This prompted officers to take defensive positions around the property as they realized the situation had reached a tragic dead end. Duquan was found lifeless inside the apartment, having suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The shooting caused an all-out investigation, with police trying to put together the events that led to such a horrific act of violence. Kiera, 27 at the time, was found dead inside Duquan's vehicle. Their 6-year-old daughter was in a critical state after being shot by her father. To add to this, 2 others were badly injured in the shooting, and Duquan himself, on citing the presence of police, had shot himself in the head. It was a terrible display of wrath even the best screenwriters couldn't have put together. Following the disaster, friends and family members were completely taken aback by what they had witnessed. Many people struggled to reconcile their perceptions of Duquan with his behavior. While some acknowledged his struggles, They expressed shock and disbelief that he could commit such a heinous act against Kiera and Zoey. Those close to him remembered his brief moments of warmth and laughter. They spoke of Duquan as a man who could be kind while still dealing with rage and unresolved trauma. Kiera's family and friends spoke passionately of her vibrant spirit and love for her daughter. They shared stories of Kiera's support for her friends and dedication to being a mom. The deaths of Kiera and Zoey caused an unfillable vacuum in the lives of those who loved them, resulting in an outpouring of sadness and mourning throughout the community.
Everybody, you are my strength.
Felt through every song, every prayer.
Some of us all think we need to be more aware, just to be more aware and to just listen.
Ty Whitehead, a Wilson mother, joined a crowd of others in Rotary Park Tuesday night. Members of Word Tabernacle Church gathered not just for worship, but to remember 2 lives taken from the Wilson County community Sunday morning.
It's just unfortunate that a young child lost their life. It's unfortunate that a young child and her mother lost their life. You know, I can't even imagine what this has done to their family.
In the days following the incident, residents of the community came together to help Kiera and Zoey's family, giving donations for burial expenses and arranging vigil ceremonies in their honor. As they came to mourn, the air was heavy with sadness, reflections, and a common hope for a change in how society tackles domestic violence and mental health issues. Kiera and Zoey's friends and family expressed regret over the number of red flags that went ignored. They called for better attention for those struggling with domestic violence, showing the need for awareness and education within the community. As the memorial progressed, there were mixed feelings about Duquan. While some were quick to condemn his actions, others insisted that he was a result of his environment, a man caught in a cycle of pain that was beyond his control.
Through a moment of prayer, James Galliard, the senior pastor of the church, says they're praying for healing, reconciliation, and solutions to combat domestic violence.
It's hit very close to our church. One of the young ladies who was shot is actually a member of our church. And so the community, they will rally in a moment like this.
For Whitehead, she knows a family's lost a mother and child. She also knows the community is holding them in their hearts.
There are going to be some dark times ahead, but when you know you have people praying for you, you become healed and that days get better and brighter.
Family members of Duquan, although grieving, expressed their sadness over his actions and the irreversible consequences they had on so many lives. They asked for understanding, calling attention to the societal pressures and personal demons that can lead individuals like Duquan down dark paths. Kiera Massenburg and her young daughter, Zoey's funeral ceremonies were held a week after the tragedy, with a vast number of relatives, neighbors, and friends in attendance. The solemn event was held at a local community center, and attendees filled the arena with a deep feeling of loss. Floral arrangements adorned the air, and photographs of Kiera and Zoey were displayed prominently. Instead of sorrow, the attendees chose to express joyful moments and the love they shared with the deceased mother and child. Family members spoke passionately about Kiera, recalling her laughter and the joy she brought into their lives. They remembered her as a devoted mother who always put Zoey first, making cherished memories together. Stories poured in from friends who shared how Kiera had supported them through their struggles, serving as a pillar of strength and a source of love. Zoey's friends and relatives described her as a bright, energetic little girl who wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. Her vibrant laughter and energy lit up every room she entered. Those who spoke about her could scarcely hold back their tears as they described the tragedy of a young life cut short, her potential wiped away in a matter of seconds. The service concluded with a heartfelt candlelight vigil outside the community center, where attendees lit candles in memory of Kiera and Zoey, and colorful balloons were made to float the air.
Thursday night, doves were released in honor of the mother and daughter, followed by a balloon release. And it's a moment family members say tells a story of who Kiera was to people in Rocky Mount.
It means so much because we knew she was big and she was very popular, but this right here just shows that her spirit was so sweet and that everybody wanted to be around her.
And her loved ones still can't accept she won't be coming home.
It's just hard. It's really hard. Losing her is like losing my own child.
It don't seem real because we're around her every single day and I just keep hearing her voice.
And even though it's hard to accept, they wanted this gathering to be more of a celebration.
I want her to be remembered by her smile and by her energy. She gave a great energy. You never had a dull moment. She was always positive, never negative.
But it didn't just end there. Makia Page, who witnessed the horrific events unfold that night, faced the reality of survival in the wake of such violence. As a close friend of Kiera's, Makia had arrived at the gathering full of excitement, expecting to enjoy an evening with friends and their children. What followed would leave a lasting mark on her life. In her recollections of what happened that night, Makia described the moments leading up to the chaos. The air had been lively, filled with laughter and playful conversations between Zoey and her daughter. However, the tension between Duquan and Kiera quickly rose, turning the once joyful gathering into a nightmare. Makia recalled feeling an unsettling shift in the air, a premonition that something was about to go wrong. And soon afterward, Zoey was dragged by her father into the car, amid screams that she didn't want to leave. When the first gunshot rang out, everything seemed to stand still. Then panic rose as Makia impulsively grabbed her daughter, Bella, and ducked for cover.
This is her daughter, Bella, who witnessed 4 people being shot.
I yelled to my daughter. I said, Bella, run. Like, get out the house and run.
Bella made it to a neighbor's to safety.
She got one here, one there, and that one.
Micaiah is now at home recovering with her daughter by her side, but her best friend and her best friend's daughter are gone.
Just tore me to pieces, getting the news about Zoey and Kiera.
Page says after Jones shot everyone, he got in Kiera's car to leave.
She had to move them out of the driver's seat so that he could get in the driver's seat to even drive the car.
Page described what she saw as pure evil.
I could just look in his eyes. It wasn't him.
Jones soon got in the car, dropped his wounded daughter off at this random house nearby before ending up here with Kiera's dead body in the car. He took his own life at this home in Nash County.
The sound of multiple gunshots filled her with terror as she witnessed Zoey's screams and Kiera's desperate cries for help. Makia clearly remembered the sight of Duquan, consumed by rage, his eyes filled with a darkness she had never seen before. It was a moment frozen in her memory, one she would relive over and over. Despite being injured during the shooting, Makia managed to escape the chaos and call for help. As she waited for first responders to arrive, she felt a deep sense of helplessness, knowing her friends were in grave danger. The realization that she survived while Kiera and Zoey did not continue to weigh heavily on her heart. The unfortunate incident of Duquan Jones, Kiera Massenburg, and Zoey reminds us of the fragility of life and the unfortunate consequences of domestic violence. As both communities of Sharpsburg and Nash County continue to grieve, we hope they find strength in each other to keep honoring the memory of Kiera and Zoey while advocating for change. A GoFundMe page was set up for both Kiera and her daughter, and another one for Duquan Jones to help their respective families deal with the trauma of their burials. Do well to check the link and make a donation in the video description below. And don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell to keep getting videos like this from us. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.